I first saw her under the flickering neon sign of the spaceport clinic, clutching a woven satchel and standing in the rain. She wasn't human. Her skin was a pale, glimmering lavender with tiny specks of silver under her eyes like falling stardust. Her clothes were threadbare, her fingers trembling from exhaustion or cold, or both. She held the hand of a child, a little girl with larger eyes than any human child should have, her gaze too old for someone so small. I was off shift, medical kits still slung over my shoulder. I shouldn't have stopped. There were strict orders about engaging off-worlders without clearance, especially since the embassy bombings. But something about the girl froze me in place. She looked up at me and spoke in perfect Terran standard. Human, no one is helping my mother. She cries every night since my father left. The words pierced deeper than I expected. I crouched beside her, feeling the warmth of their shared sorrow radiating like heat off metal. "What's your name?" I asked gently. "Aelai," she said. "This is my mother, Senira." Senira gave a weak nod, as if the effort to remain standing was costing her the last of her strength. Her eyes, though a different shape and hue than mine, carried a pain I understood intimately. I'd seen that kind of grief before, on war survivors, widows, lost parents. But rarely did it cling to someone with such quiet, haunting dignity. "Come," I said, "the clinic's nearly closed, but I have keys." Inside, I gave them warm blankets, ration bars, and started a basic vital scan. Senira had the symptoms of trauma-induced immune decay. Her body was slowly failing because her heart had already given up. "Where's your home?" I asked her once she'd warmed a bit. Her lips barely moved. "Gone. My mate. Jalen, he went to trade. Pirates took the freighter. No one will confirm he's dead, but..." Her voice cracked. Aelai climbed into her lap, curling into her like a kitten seeking a heartbeat. "I cry sometimes too," the child whispered. "But only when she sleeps." They had nowhere to go. No remaining credits. No embassy willing to intervene for an alien widow and child without papers. Jalen's people were refugees from the outer belt, treated as second class even in the best of times. These weren't the best of times. Still, I couldn't send them away. "I have a guest room," I said. "You can stay. For a little while." Senira hesitated, then gave a single, slow nod. The kind someone gives when they've stopped expecting miracles but are too tired to argue against them. The days that followed weren't easy. Senira barely spoke. She moved like a shadow, silent and hollow, her presence barely more than a whisper. She would cook, clean, even sew up some of my torn uniforms, but at night, I'd hear it, the soft, muffled sobbing through the thin wall. She tried to be quiet for Aelai's sake. It didn't matter. Grief, no matter how alien the species, was a universal language. Aelai, on the other hand, was the light trying to break through the fog. She followed me into the med lab, asking questions, peering into microscopes, learning human anatomy by tracing diagrams with glowing fingers. "Why do you help people who don't love you back?" she asked one day as I was treating a bruised factory worker who called me a med freak under his breath. I gave a small shrug. "Someone has to." She blinked at me. "I want to help too." I smiled. "Maybe one day, you will." Weeks passed. I filed for emergency refugee status for them under medical humanitarian clause. It was denied. Twice. The third time, I added a personal affidavit, swearing on my license that Senira was recovering under my care and would perish if deported. It wasn't a lie. Her skin had gained some color again. She smiled, sometimes. Aelai laughed more often. The house felt alive. Something I hadn't known I missed until they filled it. But it couldn't last. One night, a message buzzed through my old comm line. It was a scrambled frequency, likely pirate channels. My heart dropped as I decoded the words. Jalen alive. Enslaved. Mining rigs on Vorta 9. Price for his freedom. 3,000 credits. I stared at the screen for what felt like hours. I had some savings, but nothing close to that amount. The medical board wouldn't fund a private rescue. And if I told Senira, she would break. But she wasn't a fool. The next morning, she found me on the balcony, message still blinking faintly on the screen. He's alive, isn't he? She asked softly. I said nothing. She nodded, understanding. We don't have the money. No, I said. But I have options. What kind of options? I looked her in the eye. Dangerous ones. That week, I took double shifts. Sold my hoverbike. Emptied every account. When that wasn't enough, I reached out to a smuggler patient I'd once stitched up under the table. He owed me a favor. I cashed it in. I told Senna nothing more than, wait for my return. Trust me. It took 11 days. Vorta 9 was worse than I imagined. A poisoned moon covered in sulfur fog and chain-link fences. But the smugglers kept their word. They slipped me in with forged IDs and out with Jalen, frail and limping, but alive. When we landed back on Earth Station, I didn't sleep, I drove straight to my apartment. I'll never forget the sound Senira made when she saw him. Not a cry. Not a scream. Just a broken whisper of a name. Jalen. He collapsed into her arms. Aelai burst into tears, grabbing his hand like she feared it might vanish again. They clung to each other as if time itself might steal them back. The recovery was slow, but not hopeless. Jalen could barely speak for weeks. But he was alive. Aelai never let go of his side. Senira didn't cry at night anymore. She cried in the morning instead, tears of relief, of joy, of disbelief. Healing tears. One day, as I walked Aelai to the education center, she tugged at my sleeve. Human. Yes. Do you cry too? I paused. Sometimes. Not often. You should. It helps. I smiled. I'll try. Months passed. Papers were approved. The family was granted official refugee status, something no one expected. The clinic gave me hell for what I did. I was fined, suspended. But I didn't care. The day they moved out, Senira hugged me. Really hugged me. With her entire being. You saved us, she said. No, I replied. I just helped you save each other. Jalen offered a handshake. Then bowed. And Aelai, now smiling as brightly as any Terran child, said, one day, I'll be a healer too. Like you. I'll hold you to it, I said. That night, my apartment felt too quiet. But I didn't mind. Because somewhere in that vast city of lights and concrete skies, a mother no longer cried herself to sleep. And that was enough.